Hi, everybody. This is Joey Virga Realty, located in Panama City, Florida, as your presenter today. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to our webinar about the steps of purchasing a home. And if anybody has any questions throughout, there will be ways that we'll discuss, and you guys can send me your questions that you may have. I have a little bit more of a private way set up for us. We're going to do that, but right now, just waiting for everybody to get on. I might give it another minute or so, seeing who else is going to come on live with us on this webinar, seeing if we can kind of get this started. There's a lot of people that have asked a lot of questions about the steps and don't know where to get started and everything, and that's exactly what I'm going to give you today. I'm basically going to give you a roadmap to purchasing a home. So we're just going to wait a few minutes. Like I said, I see some people logging on now, going live with us on the webinar. This is going to be exciting, but we got some participants up right now. Give it about another minute or so. Don't forget, there's no question that's a bad question. Question you might have might be the same question that someone else live on the webinar with us is experiencing themselves. So no question is a bad question. Put all of them through. Any questions you might have, write them down, and I promise I'll get each and every one of them answered as quickly as possible and be able to provide good answers for you. All right, so we've been on about 2 minutes, and I'm about to get this thing started, and we're going to move forward. And this is, like I said, going to be an action-packed webinar, not a lot of sales, whole lot of content. So giving you guys something useful, something that you can use, and coming from someone who, is completely capable of presenting the information to you with the highest integrity. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, my name's Joey Virga with Virga Realty, Panama City Real Estate. My license is hung as a broker associate. I'm a second generation real estate broker, and I have helped out tons and tons of folks achieve home ownership and get into their homes. And it really has been an amazing ride. The amount of people we were able to touch and better their lives, from the parents down to the children to the grandparents. It has definitely made an impact on people's lives, and that's why I'm shooting this, just to kind of give back. And maybe there's some other folks out there that we could touch, or some kind of way we can help them out and maybe get them over the hump if they have questions or if something's going on. So we consider ourselves to be the red zebra of real estate in our local real estate market, because we're currently doing things very different from a lot of the other ones, and kind of an outside of the box strategy, if you will, that we use to help families achieve home ownership. So that's the purpose of the red zebra you're seeing here on the screen. Just something different, not the same old, okay? So, again, Joey Virga. And the way we're going to communicate today, this is very vital, very important. To make it private, since some of the stuff may get private in our conversation, someone's asking about credit scores or income limitations or things like that. I've set up this special Facebook, email address here, the @Joey Virga Real Estate Agent. And then Facebook gave us a few other things. fb.me, Joey Virga Real Estate Agent. And then there's one down below that, m.me/Joey Virga Real Estate Agent. But that's where our communication is going to take place, in a private arena, as being opposed to being projected on the screen where everyone can see one another. This is a local webinar targeted for the people in our area. So, people might know one another. So this is where we're going to do it. So instead of having a group chat going on, we're going to do it on Facebook Messenger, and it's going to be private, and your replies will come directly from me. So, and we'll be able to work through something and get you in the right direction. So Facebook Messenger, I think most people are using that these days. So about Joey Virga, biggest pride and joy in my life, I got a daughter. So I'm a father to my beautiful daughter, Madeline. I'm a son, brother, uncle, brother-in-law, nephew, business partner, and realtor. So I wear a lot of different hats. I love sports. Favorite's probably college football. I'm a horrible golfer, but I like to say that I'm a golfer. Graduate, Florida State University's College of Business. So the real estate industry and business is not something that I hopped into or I took a crash course. This is something since I was in college that I've planned for, basically a career path. I'm a licensed Florida real estate broker. I am a second generation real estate broker, and let's see here, accredited buyer specialist, seller representative specialist, military relocation specialist, short sale and foreclosure resource specialist, and Florida military specialist. Man, I hold my breath doing that. But anyways, those are some of the accreditations I've got. That's some of the extra knowledge I've taken. Just so you know that I am your presenter and that I'm knowledgeable to do this, and that there's been a lot of time. This is not just something overnight that I have done. So your presenter is going to be someone to present it and give you guys good, straight up, valuable knowledge and content. So my broker and father and business partner, his name's Gerard Virga. I got to give him a shout out. He's a papa to 4 grandchildren, father to 3 kids, husband, son, brother, uncle, brother-in-law, nephew, business partner, and realtor. And you guys hang on for this. I'm going to try to bang him out pretty quick, but he's got quite a few accreditations. Matter of fact, he has more than I do. Accredited buyer representative, seller representative specialist, military relocation professional, short sale and foreclosure resource specialist, Florida military specialist, residential real estate counsel, and a graduate of the Realtor Institute. I've also, in the presentation here, it was made up nicely, but the logos for everything are down in the bottom, so you can kind of put a picture with the words. But basically, very, very knowledgeable individual, has been in the real estate business for a very long time. So he's not the one presenting today. It's Joey Virga. I'll be the one presenting, but wanted to let you know a little bit about my partner and my father. Back again, if y'all missed it, Facebook Messenger, this is where we're at. This is where our communication is going to be taking place. I can't word it any more strongly to you, but that's where it's got to go down at. That way it's private, but I invite you, bring on the messages, write me. So then that way I can get back with you and we can move forward and I can help you with a solution to better your life. Okay. Buyers don't pay us any commission. I don't know if you realize that or not, but Virga Realty does not charge their buyers 1 red penny of commission. So at any point in time, if the presentation, you're like, wow, this is a ton of content, and, I don't really want to go through all this, you could just reach out to us, and we would be happy and pleased to help you guys out and not charge you any commission whatsoever. So that is a neat tip, but I'm going to educate you through the process. We're going to move forward. So this webinar is 100% free, educational content about becoming a homeowner, and I'm just grateful you guys are joining me today. It looks like we've got one heck of a turnout right here. I see the numbers here on the screen, and extremely impressed. So very proud to be local here. All right, so the step number 1 and the most important step, it's where it all starts, and hiring a real estate professional. You want to pick someone that's got some good qualities to them, somebody that you could work with very easily, but it's going to bring a lot to the table and bring you value. So you want to pick someone that's a winner, a go-getter, someone that wants to work hard, someone that wants to see you and your goals met. Research how long the agent's been in the business. Select an agent with the right credentials, maybe someone that went to college for that or has a lot of accreditation, someone who has been around the block but is yet still a go-getter and a winner, not someone that's, kind of on their way out of the business, maybe someone right there, very high energy and can help you achieve what you want. So look up licensing. A lot of times you can see if they have any complaints on them for licensing. Google reviews is a great place. It's kind of a non-biased, non-Zillow, non-Trulia. Google's kind of its own thing, not in the real estate arena, not being paid by any specific agent for any ranking, really, when it comes to searching for real estate homes. So with that being said, Google's a good non-biased area. Search the company, search the real estate agent's name, whatever. Read some Google reviews, get to know them, okay? Pick a local real estate professional. And when I say local, the easiest way to tell someone who is local from non-local is usually you can start by their area code. If it's not a local area code on their phone number, they're probably not from here, or they haven't been doing it long here, or haven't been in the area here long. So is that someone that you would consider an expert in the field of local real estate? So definitely keep that in mind, okay? Then we're going to move on. The next phase is going to be the mortgage. Mortgage, very important. You got to know how much money's in your wallet before you go grocery shop. You got to know how much you're approved for before you go buy a home. So a good place to start for this is asking that real estate professional. Do you have a list of vendors that do mortgages, that get back in a timely manner, that want to work, that are winners, that are go-getters? Ask your real estate professional. If they're local and they got roots in the area, they're going to know who is wanting to work and push forward and help people, and then who works part-time. That'll make all the difference. And the lender you pick will make all the difference in your transaction, because depending on that lender, if they don't work weekends, then that's a problem for a buyer that likes to go shopping for houses on weekends, which as a real estate professional, I'll tell you, probably half or better like to look at homes on weekends or nights after 6. So the real estate market really isn't active during bankers' hours. It's more active non-bankers' hours. So finding a banker, a lender, a mortgage broker, whatever you want to call it, it's important to find one that's kind of like a red zebra that likes to work out of the 8 to 5 arena and be taking calls up to 8 o'clock at night. Those are the kind of folks we like to do business with, and I pride our fact that our mortgage brokers that we work with do that. So big question. Mortgage lender versus mortgage broker. No one really knows the difference. You might not have known there was ever a difference. If I wasn't in the business, I might not either. But the mortgage lender is someone that lends for an institution, such as your folks at your bigger banks on the corners. You know which ones they are. They have the bricks and mortar and the big bank and the teller that cashes checks. You know, that's going to be your mortgage lender in most cases. They usually have their set of products, and they don't lend for other banks. Usually they can't afford, since they have the bricks and mortar and they're on every street corner, to be a little more picky with credit scores and income. So if you're a doctor, lawyer, business professional, you're knocking it down, successful, I mean, money's just rolling through the door, you could go into the bank on the corner and get treated, promptly and get stuff taken care of. If you're normal folks trying to get in your first house, maybe your second, then this other route for you, I'm about to tell you about, is going to be the way to go. That's the mortgage broker. What I like about the mortgage broker and how our mortgage broker does it, that's very important, is what they'll do is they'll take one application, your paycheck stubs and tax returns and how much you made, one application, one set of documents, one run of the credit, then they submit it, they package it all up, the broker does, then they submit it to all the banks on the corners, the big corporate banks with the big names that you hear about on the news. But then those banks have a chance to review your credit profile and your, I guess you should just credit in general profile. They can come back and let the broker know if there's two banks or 3 banks or whatever one can give the customer, which is you, the best rates at the best terms, and it's the best fit for your transaction, is who you get. So a mortgage broker is like a one-stop shop if you want to go, get everything. You want to apply with 10 different banks and get your name out there and see who's really going to get you the best deal without actually having to go to 10 different banks and have your credit pulled 10 different times. That can make a difference too, the credit pulls. You don't want to just run all through town. From what I've heard, I'm not a mortgage professional, nor am I a credit expert, but it's not something you're going to want to run around and just have your credit yanked left and right. It's probably not a good idea. The next one is pre-qualified versus pre-approved. Okay, everybody says I'm pre-qualified. Pre-qualified is a stated thing. I'll pretend like I'm the customer. I'll tell them I make $150,000 a year. I'm an engineer. My credit score is about this. And they say, congratulations, Mr. Virga. You're now pre-qualified. And they give me this letter. Now, going the next step makes all the difference in an aggressive seller's market like we're in now. It's called being pre-approved. Pre-approved means I did all that same stuff I did for the qualified part. I told him I was Joey Virga, made 150 grand a year, was an engineer by trade, gave him my scenario, but then I turned in paycheck stubs, tax returns, let them run my credit, and do all this stuff. So then they could come back and say that you're pre-approved. That make all the difference if you're making an offer on a home and there's another buyer out there also making an offer on the same home, that the seller and the seller's agent both know that you have been checked out thoroughly by the mortgage doctor. If you get where I'm going with this, you've had the complete physical, paycheck stubs, tax returns, and I'm joking about that, but paycheck stubs, tax returns, everything's been turned in, verification of employment, basically that you're a ready and willing and able buyer, and you're not saying it. The bank is stepping in and saying, hey, this is a good person. So that's another thing. So loan options, and I'll run through these. I'll probably have a separate webinar. I could talk for hours about different loan options. One is VA. So if you served in the military and you're VA eligible, you could obtain your VA eligibility certificate. And like I said, you're in good standing with Veteran Affairs. You can get a VA loan, which VA loan, there's two really big perks, and then I'll move on to the next one, is going to be your credit score can be a little bit lower than average folks that don't have VA eligibility. The other thing is that it eliminates your down payment, which is huge. A vet doesn't have to come up with any money down payment. Not unless they want to, they don't have to. That's, I guess, the federal government's way of showing their appreciation and gratification to the vets and stepping up. I think it's a wonderful program, and in our area, we use it a ton. So if you are VA eligible, that's usually what I recommend you use, your VA loan. Now, FHA stands for Federal Housing Administration. These are all government, and the next one's going to be too. So these aren't outside of the box, loan shark. These are the good government loan programs out there. A lot of my customers sometimes refer to them as a first-time home buyer loan kind of thing. And these are the federal programs. I'm assuming that when they tell me that these are what they're talking about. Now, FHA does require down payment, can go a little bit lower on credit score than its counterpart, the USDA loan and also the conventional loan, which are the two below. Now, it can't dip quite as low as VA, but it can go a little bit lower. It does require a down payment of 3.5%. So on a $100,000 home, you're looking at $3,500. On a $200,000 home, you're looking at $7,000, which is right now perfect. Anybody getting back tax return money, or maybe over the season you're making a little bit more, pick up temporary work for the holiday season, whatever time of year, if you can have that around, that's usually, like I said, it's 3.5% down payment, okay? Federal Housing Administration. The next one is USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. A lot of people think about beef and chicken and farming and crops and all that, but believe it or not, our area has some large pockets that qualify for USDA loan. We're currently, we use these different pockets. Not all realtors want to use these types of loans because they're a little harder. They're government regulated, whatever, but it's the best for the customer. So, make sure that the real estate agent is very knowledgeable about these different types of loans and is going to guide you down the path that is most valuable for you as the consumer and not them as an agent. And if you do it on your own, you need to be privy to all these different options and which one is best for you. Okay, so USDA, the cool part about it that makes it special is no down payment. It's just like the VA loan, no down payment. Can't go as low on credit score as VA, but if you didn't serve, this might be a good loan program for you to try to avoid down payment. So that's the beautiful part about it. One of the downfalls is you have to go off the areas designated to be eligible by United States Department of Agriculture. But we've got quite a few pockets, and a good successful real estate agent that knows their market is not going to have any problem being able to point you guys in the right direction with a map on where to go. Matter of fact, I just have my customers send me MLSs. I check on myself to see if they're eligible or not, take it off my customer's plate, and we move forward, okay? So the last one is conventional financing. When I think of conventional financing, I think of a bank that's going to hold the paper, a bank that's not going to sell off your loan, and if they do, it be to another bank. They're not going to sell it, quote, to the secondary market, but sometimes they're kind of known as like an in-house loan or portfolio loan. Now, there's lots of different things on this conventional financing. My broker's got a 1% down, which is very minimal, on up to a 5% down. He's even got one in the middle there that's a 3% down. So conventional requires a little bit higher credit score, and but it's a lot more maneuverable, so to speak. We can move this thing around. We can adapt it with down payments. There's more flexibility in the conventional loan, but not everyone has the credit scores required to obtain one. So do's and don'ts of mortgage. You get a good mortgage professional that's referred to you by your real estate professional. You've got a few different mortgage professionals or a few different outs, or you got a broker. In my case, I don't refer a lot of different lenders, because when I send them to my broker, then my broker is going to run them through 41 different banks. So I can't shop you around any more than 40 more times, So it's definitely trying to get the best. But the do's and don'ts of mortgage, there's a ton of stuff on this page. You guys are more than welcome to kind of read at it. But for the most part, your mortgage professional and your real estate professional are your two folks that are going to guide you through this. And basically, as long as you're being educated throughout the process and there's good communication, which is vital to any type of relationship, business or personal, is relationships. Our relationships are all based off of the functionality of communication. So if you're not communicating right, and then that's a big problem. But having that good communication between your real estate agent and your mortgage professional, you should be guided in the right direction. So how do you get a loan? Where does it start? It can start from your house and going online. B, you can go to the bank, meet with the banker, and sit down. A lot of days nowadays with society how it is, internet driven, people very busy, picking up kids from school, taking kids to soccer practice, life in general. Most folks choose the one right there that's got the house with the it looks like the iPad image on it, to just apply online, get it sent into the bank. We have the ability to, we have an iPhone app, for example, that'll take your mortgage link or your mortgage app, and then we also got a link to the internet where people can do it there as well. We also have folks on our team that will call you and take an application over the phone and put it into the computer for you. So it's up to you which way you do it. But, the common thing that's happening now is just basically starting the process. Usually when you get your mortgage or your real estate professional and you've decided on your mortgage professional, just to get the link sent over to you. You can do it on your lunch hour, or you could do it at night while you're reading in bed. Doesn't matter. And you apply at your own time. No one wants to go into a bank and spend half their day and go through that anymore. There's no need. That's 50 years ago. It's not really the society we live in today. But if you like to, it's always available. They're there. How much house can I afford? This is one of the biggest things that my buyers will always want to know is, how much house can I afford, Joey? How much house can I buy for this amount of money? They don't want to stretch themselves out. They know they got to get pre-approved, but sometimes people are not okay with the payment on the amount they're pre-approved for. So there's a few things on the top part of the screen here, and it's basically the in-depth definition guide. Basically, your debt-to-income ratio, mortgage rates, mortgage calculator, down payment, escrow, loan programs I just went into you with. So all this conglomerate of all this stuff going on is going to impact your monthly payment, which on the left-hand side by the little guy holding the key, you see monthly budget. So monthly payment, monthly budget, they kind of got to coincide with one another. So that's where sitting down with the mortgage professional, whether it be virtually or it's face-to-face in an office, you kind of got to get that hammered out even before you go look for a home, because you don't want to go, put out a house that you can't afford and it's going to, make you basically house broke. You want to get a house that's going to work good for you and good for your family, but a payment that you're okay with. You don't want to get in over your head. And this is probably the last thing you'll hear from another person that's in sales in general, telling you don't overextend yourself. But here I am. I'm telling you, don't overextend yourself. We want to do right by you. We want to be able to help everybody out, and it's wise to do this within your means, even though a bank might qualify you for more. So last time you're going to hear a salesperson do that, tell you that you might not need to go for the top, but that's just my personality and helping folks out and doing what's best for them. Step number 1, like the holy grail of mortgages, is what is the credit score? That's the one everybody always reminds me about, is my credit score is this or my credit score is that. That's number 1. But there are other factors that come into play. The other one right here is the debt to income ratio. That's where they look at all your debts and look at all your income. The mortgage banker, underwriter, broker, whoever runs the little calculation and do the numbers work. Can you afford a mortgage payment according to the debt to income ratio? So that's usually what I call getting the second base right there. So first base was the credit score. Second base is the debt to income ratio. Okay. Getting a third base is going to be, do you have down payment and do you have closing costs? And if not, has your mortgage professional, yourself, and of course the most important, your mortgage or your real estate broker or real estate sales associate professional, have y'all have a plan about this down payment, where it's coming from, or are y'all using a no down payment loan, or what is the strategy that everyone's using? Very, very important. Other important thing, I'd say you're still teetering around third base, but turning in those income documents. You don't want a pre-qualification. Why not go for the top and go ahead and get the pre-approval? That way you look better than 90% of the other buyers out there in the market that you're competing against. So turn in the income supporting documents. Prove your case in court. Turn in your stuff. The next one is looking at properties. This is a big deal. We're in Florida. And you're like, Joey, what's it got to do with water? Flood insurance is what it's got to do. Flood insurance is something else that you and your real estate professional and mortgage broker need to kind of decide from the start with those income ratios, that debt to income. Are you even going to look for a home located in a flood zone? Or is that going to skew your payment to where you're not going to be comfortable and you be in a bad situation and be, house broke or whatever? So are you even going after or willing to look at homes in a flood zone? Very important. Property taxes. Are you looking in an area that might have higher property taxes? These are things you need to take into mind because it will affect your monthly budget and your monthly payment. So these are some things that most of the time you don't even hear about. And now, just now, have we got to the part where we start searching for a home? And hey, guys, I see the questions rolling through, and I'm probably going to finish out this webinar, and then I'm going to start replying back, getting questions answered. We'll do our own little thing. It's all private. I see my phone here going a little crazy with the questions and stuff coming through. So I appreciate it, and I want everybody to know that you won't be forgotten about. I will answer your question. It'll be me personally, not my assistant, not someone from my team. I will get back to you, but I'm going to continue with the presentation. There might be some content in here that answers the questions. I see 2 of them here that I have slides coming up that's going to solve all those problems for you. But just now, have we hit the point? We're 28 minutes into this thing, and we just started searching for a house. Searching at houses and trying to find a home. And here we are 30 minutes into the process of me explaining it, and we haven't even looked at a house yet. This is where we get started. Wow. So you're going to want to jump out on the internet. You're probably going to want to do some searches, things of that nature. My customers, I direct them directly to my website, which is Virga-Realty.com. Again, Virga-Realty.com. I use a site called Easy Agent Pro. Is the web development company. They make it simple. They make it easy for my people to search through there. And the most important thing is it's got accurate data. It's up to date. It is tied to the market at the Board of Realtors. It is tied in. So it's not like some of the big national sites that do not update. And I can't stress that enough. Wherever you're searching needs to be an accurate website. So, how we bring the listings, we bring them directly from the board of realtors. We use software called iHome Finder, and it pulls them up to date directly from the board of realtors into our website and displays them in a pretty manner that people is they're user friendly and easy for them to navigate. Okay. Getting into the homes, once we've picked out a list of homes, we've ran through the mortgage thing, we've ran through searching online, then we got to get out in the car. You've got to get out in the car with your mortgage or your mortgage. I'm on a mortgage roll. But you've got to get out in the car and y'all got to start looking at homes. So you want to make sure that you have an agent or you have an ability. I don't know. Honestly, the question is, I don't know why you wouldn't have an agent, especially like Virga Realty, if they're not going to charge you any commission. Why would you even want to put yourself through it? But you need to be able to get in there. You see these super box. These are lock boxes that allow real estate agents to get into homes during the day and do showings without anybody else being there. It's a way to get the key to the house. So that's very important that you have access to as many houses to get into. One thing to find them on the internet, but if you can never get through the door, could be a problem. Just something to think about. So then you find a house, or you find two, or you find three, and then the $1 million question hits you and you start getting panicky. And this is kind of one of the more emotional times, is picking the right house. But I'm going to tell you a few different things to maybe help make this less stressful and narrow down the most logical answer for you on picking which house is right. Oh, a repeat slide. I wonder why. Is it in a flood zone? If it was a house in a flood zone, now that you have a house picked out, or a few, what is the flood insurance going to run for that particular property? If it's going to be a few $100 a year, it might not be something you're opposed to taking on for the house of your dreams. If it's going to be a few thousand a year, you might not want to go there. So you're going back into the affordability and the budget and all that. So you're looking at what house fits the best. So that's a question you got to ask yourself at that point. Is it in a flood zone? How much more is it going to add to my payment? And am I okay with it? You also got to make sure you didn't blow your debt to income ratios out the water with your mortgage professional when you added on additional payment every month for flood insurance. Back to taxes again. Now you got to figure out, is one dramatically higher with property tax than the other? Is it going to affect your ratios? Is it going to affect your monthly payment? Are you okay with any of this, or is it a problem? So taxes. All right, and it leads us all back to the slide I did before. I know I've got some repeat slides, but I figured this was the easiest way to educate you guys. Then you go back to where you started with the little mortgage guy, and how much house can I afford? Now we know some of these things about flood insurance. We know taxes. We know what's in a USDA zone, what's not going to work for VA. We're going to really know, because now you've pinpointed down a few houses, and now we got to refocus with your mortgage professional, you yourself as the client, and then also your real estate broker or real estate professional, to make sure that everything still fits, that, hey, we didn't get out of line on one place or another. Very important content. Very, very important content right here, just to revisit it. Don't just jump in. You got to have the mortgage lender. Usually when my customer says, this is it, this is home, I love it, I say, hold that thought. Let me go ahead and explain it to my mortgage broker, where he's going to get back with you with numbers of what your payment's going to be, what your down payment's going to be. If you're okay with that, we'll get the offer in no time. Just as quick as we can get it in. But I want folks to know, it's very important, if it tipped their budget a little bit, and that's important for you. You need to know if it tipped the budget, or, hey, I can go with the nicer house of the two because technically I can afford it because that one's not in a flood zone. See, you got to recalculate. And just now, are we getting to the part about make an offer? We're just now making an offer. We're 34 minutes into this. I couldn't even tell you how many slides we're into it. 28 slides of 41, and we're just making an offer. This is just amazing to me. And the questions rolling in, I've been seeing them. You guys have some good, valid questions, and I promise you, like I said, I'm going to get back with you as quickly as possible. But you make an offer, and there is the real estate contract. You got to make sure, like if you went and you were unrepresented buyer and you were buying from a for sale by owner, where does this contract come from? Is it one that's written in advantage to the seller over the buyer? And you're the buyer. There's a reason why. A lot of for sale by owners, they don't want you to have representation. They don't want you to have a real estate agent because they might try to pull a fast one on you. It might be fast for you because you don't buy and sell property every day. But if you have a knowledgeable real estate professional, you're not going to have that problem. They're not going to pull anything on you in that manner. So hence they don't want representation. Contracts we use are created by the Florida Association of Realtors. There's also a whole nother set of contracts that we use from time to time. It's also, they're made by the Florida Bar, which governs the attorneys, the Florida Bar. And two different sets of them. They're very similar. I've been told in some of my educational classes that a lot of the folks involved with making one contract were involved with the other contract. So it's some of the same authors of these contracts, which are real estate attorneys, with a common goal in mind of keeping it both fair to both buyer and seller, and kind of making like a bilateral contract as a unilateral where it's all sided for a seller or all sided for a buyer. It's supposed to create a fair playing field, and that's what we currently use. So, your documentation, your contract, very important stuff. Had a lady one time that ran off. This is an interesting story. Ran off on a weekend and bought a for sale by owner. Put it under contract, didn't tell me, didn't realize she was doing anything. And then she got to closing. Of course, I wasn't with her. She decided to represent herself. But when she got there, she found out she needed to run to the bank and get $5,000 out for a closing cost. The contract read that the seller's going to pay closing costs up to a certain dollar amount, but it never said the seller was going to pay buyer's closing cost up to a certain amount. That's how it was. One word left out on a contract that cost her $5,000. So these are things you kind of, you're walking through a minefield if you're trying to do this on your own, or if you get a real estate agent that isn't really privy to what's going on. You're walking around in a minefield and not knowing where the mines are. Get extremely dangerous and get extremely costly. Negotiation. It's a big part, and I couldn't think of a better way to illustrate it than these two gentlemen playing tug of war, in their business suits. But it's a fun part of the business, but it's another one of those sweating points of the transaction where buyers get a little nervous. But, negotiation, discussion, compromise, business agreement, and then the skill of the negotiation. But either you've got to be one heck of a negotiator if you're going to represent yourself, or you really need to do deep research to make sure your negotiator, whatever real estate agent or real estate professional you use, is someone very knowledgeable in that, has done it a lot of times, and is going to put your interest at heart, what's doing right by you, okay? So that's a big thing, the negotiation, going back and forth. Contingency. A future event of circumstances that is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. So I'm going to buy a house at 123 Smith Boulevard, and for me to buy that house, it's got to be contingent on me selling 123 Williams Boulevard. It's contingency. So if one thing happens, another thing can happen. If the first thing never happens, the second thing can't. And that's an example of a contingency. Meeting of the minds. That's where the offer's been made, negotiations done, went back and forth, contingencies have been hashed out. Then you have the meeting of the minds. That's where both buyer and seller and their representatives, their real estate professional, everyone is on the same page. It's been signed off on. Executed copy have been sent to all parties. This is how it was explained to me when both buyer and seller receive in writing the executed copy of the agreement everybody signed off on. At that point, quote, you've got a meeting of the minds. The transaction is moving forward. Okay? Title company. At that point in time, the buyer, usually in our area, it's not required, but can't think of too many deals I've done here recently where there wasn't escrow money need it, and that will go to the title company. So two things go to the title company now. One is going to be the actual purchase agreement, the agreement between both buyer and seller, and then the title company is going to hold an escrow, which is a form of trust account, you could say, the escrow money deposit. They call it the escrow money deposit, the EMD, earnest money, good faith. Your agent, real estate professional can use a bunch of different terms. It's the same thing. It's you putting money down, asking the seller to take the home off the market, and hey, if everything checks out, then I'm going to move forward, and I'm willing to put a little skin on the table that I want that home, okay? So title company here, where we're at, state of Florida, most of them are title companies, have closed at lawyers' offices just as long as the lawyers can offer title insurance to our buyers. That is not a problem, but we do require title insurance for our buyers because we are there protecting you, okay? Very important stuff. Escrow, okay? So here's the breakdown. Everybody's like, what? I got to give money before I buy the house? It's called escrow. Buyer provides the money. A neutral third party, aka escrow agent or title company, is going to hold that money in the escrow account, trust account. Seller provides clear title to the property. So the middleman here, the judge of the two parties that's going to be non-interested third party, is that escrow agent / lawyer's office, or here most likely a title company. Escrow carries out closing instructions according to the sales contract. So now we have rules to the game. The contract spells out what buyer's going to do. Contract spells out what seller's going to do. There's some money on the table. Seller's taking their house off the market. Buyer's providing a little money for them to do so. Held in escrow. We're moving forward, trying to keep this a level playing field between both buyers and sellers. All right. So inspection period, once that comes in, usually it's a 10, 20 day, depending on how quick it can get done. Inspection period. This is going to be very important for our buyers. I recommend home inspection on existing homes as well as brand new homes. Now, you heard that right. I recommend them on the new ones as much as I do the old ones. But you want to make sure that house is checked out. Anything that you have a problem with, you want to make sure it's remedied, or that you're okay with that problem and you're going to be able to remedy it yourself for yourself once you are the owner. Getting a home inspection by a licensed individual that can create a report, okay? Very important stuff, okay? I'm going to go on to the next year. I've got pest inspection. Usually we try to line up our pest inspection at the same time we try to line up our home inspection to see if there's any critters out there chewing on the wood or if there's any other pest problems. AKA, it's sometimes called a WDO, Wood Destroying Organisms Report. Make sure, like I said, nothing's munching on the bones of your house. Okay, the property survey will have to take place. You have to have a clean survey with no problems with it for the bank to lend, but you really want to make sure your property's surveyed off anyways. So this is something else that happens during the process. The surveyor will go out there. I'm sure you've seen these guys with these tripods out on the side of the road. They're surveying real estate, and one will be performed on your property if you work with us. Appraisal. Basically, the appraisal is like the picture shows here. It's got the little house, and it's kind of comparing it and putting it under the microscope, so to speak, comparing it to the other houses. What's the condition, the market value, the features. And when I say market value, that's probably one of the most important, is going to be the market value. If the bank is going to loan you $200,000 for that home, or the mortgage professional $200,000, is that house worth $200,000? Because they're not going to lend you $200,000 on a house that has a market value of $190,000. They're only going to give you up to what that house is worth, period. And if you're using FHA, they're only going to give you so much. I think that's 26.5% or 96.5% of the actual loan to value. So those are things to kind of take into consideration. But an appraisal is a pretty important part of it, just to make sure that the value of the real estate is there. And then boom, we got the clear to close. I couldn't think of a better slide than old Leonardo DiCaprio here doing cheers. We've got the clear to close. Everything else has happened. Home inspections, pest inspections, surveys, mortgage docs been turned in. Just the ball of wax is now getting patted together. Just one ball of wax instead of this wax being all, you're putting it together. One little grouping. And we got the clear to close. And that's where we are truly rounding third base. And we know that we're going home. The clear looks good. So cheers to Leonardo and the clear to close. We go back to the title company. And that's where our escrow agent was. That's who was holding $1,000. That's who was holding everyone accountable to that contract and that agreement. We go back to the title company and we have our closing. And this is where the keys get put in your hand to your new home. This is the most beautiful moment of our job, is when the folks get the keys in their hand to their new home. That's where we've made it as our real estate team and Virga Realty, where we've made it a reality. We got somebody out of their apartment. We got somebody out of their rental home. We got somebody out of their old starter house, and we upgraded them to where they want it to be, made them a homeowner, or made them a homeowner for the second time. I even got retirees sometimes that are looking to downsize. The baby boomers now are getting rid of the big homes and going back to the something a little smaller, condos, townhouses, stuff like that. They just don't need as much stuff burdening them. The kids don't live at home anymore, But we're at the title company, and here we are signing documents. Now, if you got a mortgage loan, it's probably about an hour process. If there's no mortgage and you're a cash buyer, it might be about a 10-minute process. But this is where the documents get signed, and 99.9% of the time, this is when you get the keys to your new home. This is game time now, definitely. All right. So I'm getting back to this. This is the slide. Now, if any of this stuff that I've told you went over your head or you got so many questions, keep in mind that we do not charge our buyers a commission. So none of our commission is earned off of you. We force that and get paid through the listing agent and the seller to represent and help you out with the transaction and try to facilitate the transaction on your behalf. With that being said, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you chose to go on your own route, these were the steps. You can do it on your own. You could take it all the way, or you can expedite the process. Reach out to us directly and see if we can move forward at directing you in the right path to achieving home ownership with the least amount of money and the least amount of time, basically. Life is short. So keep in mind, we do not charge a commission. So this is that. I'm going to leave this up for a minute while I'm kind of finishing up here. And I did want to say, any questions you got, I'm putting up here again. Maybe if you didn't write it down, this is the third time. But this is how you reach out to me directly. We can get something stirred up. I can lead you in the right way of getting finance for a home. I can answer questions. I mean, this is how you're going to communicate with me. I'm giving back. I've been fruitful in my career. I've helped a lot of people. God's been good to me. I've been good back to the people that I've worked with. And this is, I've never seen another agent approach it like this, of just trying to help folks out. And it not being, hey, look at me, I'm better than the next guy. That's not what this is about. It's not a competition between me and other agents. Really, the competition is who can better serve their customers, who can help families move on and achieve their goals. That's what it's about. It's not about the agent. It's not about the realty firm. It's about our customers, and it's about doing right thing, helping folks out, helping people move on with their lives, helping people meet goals. And reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you. Even if you're not in the market, you like to chat real estate, hit me up. That's how to get up with me. Facebook Messenger, Joey, or at Joey Virga, real estate agent. Go ahead and send those messages there. And that's it for now. Listen, I appreciate everything. And if you guys have any questions, please get in contact with me. Thank you so much.